Have you ever wondered what happens when karma finally arrives? What happens when people who ruin lives get exactly what they earned? I was about to learn. This is Betrayed, where every story shows that justice can be late, but it never disappears. Let's begin. The day I signed the divorce papers, Brianna looked happier than she had at our wedding. Her smile glowed, and her eyes were fixed on a future without me. She almost bounced out of the courthouse, texting someone before she even reached her car. I stayed behind in my wrinkled suit, the same one I had worn through 6 months of court-mandated mediation, watching the woman I had loved for 8 years leave without looking back. She kept the house, the car, and nearly all our savings. I ended up in a studio above a laundromat with a harsh lesson that changed my life. Then, 3 years later, Brianna spotted me at a downtown charity gala. In about 5 seconds, her confident face turned confused, then completely crushed. She grabbed my arm like she was sinking, her polished nails pressing into my expensive jacket, and whispered words I never expected to hear. "Honey, do you remember me? I'm Callum Reeves, and this is how losing everything showed me who I truly was." 8 years earlier, I worked as a mid-level accountant at Morrison & Associates, earning a solid $65,000 a year. It wasn't impressive, but it was steady, dependable, and safe. Brianna claimed those were the things she loved about me when we met at her friend's barbecue. "You're so stable, Callum, so reliable." Back then, I heard compliments. Later, I realized she was naming the reasons she would leave. Brianna handled marketing for a tech startup and constantly chased the next opportunity, promotion, and level of success. She was gorgeous, driven, and far beyond my reach. At least that was what I believed. After 2 years together, she agreed to marry me, and I felt like I had hit the jackpot. Our wedding was simple. We couldn't afford the destination ceremony she wanted, so we settled on a nice, local reception. During our Cancun honeymoon, I watched her scroll through Instagram photos of other couples' extravagant weddings with a look I couldn't understand. Maybe it was disappointment, maybe regret. Our first few years were good. They weren't perfect, but they felt good. We bought a small suburban house, rescued a dog named Chester, and built what I believed was a comfortable life. I came home each evening. Brianna was either there or still at work, and we ate dinner, watched television, went to bed, then repeated it all. Around our 5th year, everything began to change. Brianna stayed at work later. She joined a gym offering classes at 6 a.m. and 8 p.m., so I hardly saw her. Soon she had new interests, friends, and routines that had no place for me. "You never want to do anything exciting, Callum," she would say whenever I suggested staying home instead of attending another networking event. "You're satisfied with being average." I tried to become different. I honestly did. I planned weekend getaways, suggested new restaurants, and found activities outside our usual routine, but nothing pleased her. The restaurants weren't fashionable enough. The trips weren't adventurous enough. I simply wasn't enough. She brought up divorce on a Tuesday. I remember because Tuesday was trash day, and I had just carried the garbage outside when Brianna asked me to sit at the kitchen table. One look at her told me the choice had already been made, and she was only there to announce it. "Callum, I want a divorce." 5 words were enough to tear apart 8 years of marriage. "Why?" I asked, even though I already knew. "Because I'm unhappy. We want different things. I deserve more than this." She waved at our kitchen and the life we had built, as if it were a cage she needed to escape. "Is there someone else?" My voice came out softer than I meant it to. Brianna paused for barely a second. "That isn't relevant. That told me everything. His name was Adrian Harlow. I later learned he consulted for her company, drove a Tesla, and lived in an expensive downtown apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. He was everything I wasn't. The divorce was vicious. Brianna demanded nearly everything, and her attorney made sure she got it. She took the house we had bought mostly with money my grandmother left me, the car I had paid on for 3 years, and our savings, even though I had contributed most of it, while she spent her income on clothes, trips, and experiences. "You'll be fine, Callum," her lawyer told me during mediation. "You're young and employed. You'll rebuild." He left out the fact that Brianna had already rebuilt with Adrian while she was still wearing my wedding ring. On the day everything became final, she arrived at the courthouse dressed for a party. Not the end of a marriage. She wore a white sundress, had her hair professionally done, and kept checking her phone with a smile I remembered from our first year together. When the judge declared us divorced, Brianna almost floated from the courtroom. Through the window, I watched her meet Adrian in the parking lot. He lifted her into a hug, spun her around, and kissed her like they were in some romance movie. After they drove away, I stood there for 20 minutes, wondering where it had all gone wrong and how I had become invisible to the woman who once promised to love me forever. That night, I moved into a studio above May's Laundromat on Fletcher Street. Rent was $800 a month, and the place smelled like industrial soap and broken dreams. My futon served as both bed and couch. I ate at a card table and owned exactly 3 plates, 3 forks, and 3 glasses from the dollar store. My brother Aaron called that first night. "Cal, are you okay?" "Define okay," I said, staring at the water-stained ceiling. "Come stay with me and Melanie. We have a spare room." "I appreciate it, but I need to handle this alone." "Handle what?" "Punishing yourself in a lousy apartment." Figuring out who I am without her. Aaron went quiet. "You know who you are, Cal. You're the same man you've always been." "Yeah," I said. "That's the problem." For the first month, I barely lived. I went to work, came home, ate microwave dinners, and stared at the walls. One day, my boss, Elaine Sutton, pulled me aside and suggested I take time off. "Callum, you haven't been yourself. When did you last sleep? All the way through the night?" I honestly couldn't remember. "I'm fine, Elaine. I'm just dealing with some things." "The divorce," she said softly. "I know, and I'm sorry, but you can't keep coming in here looking like a ghost. Take a week and get yourself together. Your job will still be here." That week became a turning point I never expected. For the first 2 days, I did nothing. I sat in my apartment, ordered takeout, and felt sorry for myself. On the 3rd morning, something changed. I woke up angry, not sad or depressed, furious. I was furious at Brianna for making me feel worthless, furious at myself for believing her, furious over all the years I had wasted trying to satisfy someone who could never be satisfied. I faced the bathroom mirror and truly studied myself. I didn't recognize the man looking back. I had gained 30 pounds during our marriage. My hair had thinned, my skin looked gray, and my eyes seemed empty. "Who are you?" I asked my reflection. The answer hit me immediately. "Nobody I want to be." That afternoon, I joined a gym 2 blocks from my apartment. It wasn't some polished place with juice bars and hot yoga. It was a real gym filled with weights, heavy bags, and people who looked like they had survived hell and chosen to fight back. The man behind the desk was built like a tank, with tattoos covering both arms. "First time?" he asked. "Yeah." "What are you training for?" I pictured Brianna at the courthouse, Adrian's smug grin, and every person who had ever made me feel small. Everything. His name was Everett Vaughn, and he became the first true friend of my new life. He taught me proper form, how to push through pain, and how to turn anger into fuel instead of letting it destroy me. "You're dealing with something," Everett said on my 5th day. It wasn't really a question. "Divorce?" I nodded. "Knew it. You look like you're trying to bench press your entire life." "Something like that." "Good. Use it. Just don't let it use you." I trained 6 days a week. At first, I struggled to finish 20 push-ups. By the second month, I could do 100. The pounds began dropping, and my body changed. More importantly, my head became clear. Instead of eating at my desk during lunch, I started reading. Not novels, but books on business, investing, and personal growth. I had worked in accounting for 8 years, yet I had never considered money beyond bills and saving for a future that never arrived. One book changed everything. The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Its idea was simple. Small actions, repeated consistently, can create enormous results. I had spent years living, thinking, and acting small. It was time to aim higher. I listened to entrepreneurship podcasts on my commute. I took online classes in financial planning and investment strategy. I contacted former colleagues who had opened their own firms and asked how they had done it. 6 months after the divorce, I had a real plan, not some weak hope that life might improve. For 1 year, I would save every dollar possible while building clients on the side. Then I would leave Morrison and Associates and open a financial consulting firm for small business owners who couldn't afford large corporate accounting companies. Elaine thought I had lost my mind. "Callum, you're giving up a secure career for what? A chance that you might succeed alone?" "A chance to build something that belongs to me," I said. She studied me for a while. "You're different from the man you were 6 months ago. Harder somehow." "Not harder. I'm just finished being soft." The following year was the toughest of my life. I worked 40 hours at my regular job, then another 30 to 40 building the company. I began with 5 small clients who needed bookkeeping and tax assistance. My prices were fair, and I delivered more than I promised. People started talking. By month 9, I had 15 clients. By month 11, I had 23. Most nights I survived on 4 hours of sleep, but I had never felt so alive. I kept training too. The gym became my therapy, meditation, and proof that hard work could change anything. I lost 45 pounds, built muscle I never knew I had, and felt energetic for the first time in years. When I finally quit Morrison and Associates to run Reeves Financial Consulting full-time, Elaine shook my hand. "I'm proud of you, Callum. You proved me wrong." "You gave me the week off that started this," I reminded her. "Technically, you helped prove yourself wrong." She laughed. Maybe I did. The second year of my new life was about improving everything. I hired Melanie Ortiz, an assistant far more organized than I could ever be. I moved the company from my apartment into a small downtown office and invested in better software, stronger systems, and better tools. My client list climbed from 50 to 75, then 100. I was earning more than I ever had at Morrison and Associates. More importantly, I had created something that mattered. My clients were more than figures in a spreadsheet. They were real people with families, dreams, and businesses they had built themselves. I helped a restaurant owner reorganize his debt and stay out of bankruptcy. I gave a single mother a workable financial plan for launching her online boutique. I also helped a retired teacher invest his pension so his grandchildren would inherit something someday. The work meant something. So did I. For the first time as an adult, I felt like I was exactly where I belonged. I started dating again, but nothing became serious. There were a few dinners and a couple of brief relationships that ended without drama. I wasn't searching for permanence. I was too focused on building my own life to worry about sharing it. The greatest change happened inside me. For years, I had judged myself by Brianna's standards and based my worth on her approval. Now I set my own standards and measured myself by how much I had grown. I bought a condo in a good neighborhood. It wasn't as impressive as the house I lost, but it was modern, clean, and entirely mine. I chose a car I truly wanted instead of another dull, practical one. I dressed better, too, not for attention, but because properly fitted clothes made me feel good. Aaron noticed when I arrived at his house for Christmas. "Jesus, Cal, you look like another person." "I am another person," I said. "Seen Brianna lately?" "No idea. I don't follow her." That was the truth. I had blocked her everywhere and hadn't thought about her for months. My life was too full to waste time wondering about my ex-wife. Then one day, Melanie, who managed my schedule and seemed to know everything about everyone, mentioned seeing Brianna's engagement photos online. "To Adrian?" I asked. I didn't care, but I was curious whether her so-called upgrade had lasted. "Yeah, it looks like they're marrying next spring. According to her posts, they're having some fancy wedding in Napa Valley." "Good for them." Melanie watched my face. "You honestly don't care, do you?" "Not at all. That belonged to another life, and another version of me. That man doesn't exist anymore." And that brings me to the gala. It was the Metropolitan Children's Hospital Charity Gala. A client on the hospital board invited me because he thought it would be useful for networking. Black tie events weren't usually my thing, and I nearly declined, but something made me accept. I wore a custom-tailored tuxedo I had bought for another event, got a fresh haircut, and walked in feeling confident. The gala was held at the Grand Belmore Hotel, a place filled with marble columns, crystal chandeliers, and guests who looked like magazine models. I was discussing an expanding restaurant chain with a potential client when I sensed someone watching me. You know that strange feeling when you can almost feel another person's eyes? I turned and saw Brianna. She stood about 20 feet away, her champagne glass stopped halfway to her mouth. She stared at me like I was a ghost. Her black dress looked expensive, and her hair was shorter than I remembered. She also seemed older. Not worse exactly. Just different. Our eyes locked, and neither of us moved for a moment. Then she came toward me. Her expression shifted from shock to confusion, followed by something I couldn't read. "Callum?" she said when she reached me. Her voice sounded uncertain. "Hello, Brianna." Her eyes traveled over me, taking in the fitted tuxedo, my confident stance, the 45 pounds I had lost, and the muscle I had gained. "I almost didn't recognize you. You're so different. 3 years can do that. You look amazing. I mean, really good. What have you been doing?" "Living," I said. She gave a nervous laugh. "No, I mean, what are you doing here? This is a pretty exclusive event." "I'm here with a client. What about you?" "Adrian is on the hospital board. We're engaged." She raised her left hand and displayed a diamond that probably cost more than my first car. "Congratulations." "Thank you." She kept staring as if she couldn't believe I was real. "Callum, you're a completely different man. The weight loss, the confidence, all of it. It's incredible. Divorce was good for me." The words sounded sharper than I meant, but Brianna didn't react. She only gave another nervous laugh. "I can see that. You're nothing like the man I left." "No," I said. "I'm not." A tall man with silver hair walked over and placed a possessive hand on Brianna's lower back. It was Adrian Harlow in the flesh, looking exactly like his social media photos. Successful, polished, and sure of himself. "Honey, who's your friend?" he asked Brianna, though his eyes stayed on me, studying me. "This is Callum, my ex-husband." She said it like I belonged to ancient history instead of a marriage that had ended only 3 years earlier. Adrian's expression shifted. Callum Reeves, the accountant. Financial consultant now, I corrected him. I own my firm. Reeves Financial Consulting, Adrian said, as recognition crossed his face. I've heard of you. You helped the Matsumoto restaurant chain reorganize its expansion plan. Impressive work. Thank you. Brianna looked back and forth between us. You've heard of Callum? Of course. His firm is earning a strong name in the small business market. Focusing on underserved clients was a smart move. Adrian offered his hand. Adrian Harlow, Meridian Consulting Group. I shook it firmly. I know who you are. The three of us stood in an uncomfortable triangle. Brianna looked uneasy in a way I had never seen before. She kept twisting her engagement ring and glancing at me as if I were a puzzle she couldn't solve. Callum, she finally said, can I speak with you privately for a minute? Adrian frowned. Brianna, we're supposed to... Just a minute, honey, I'll be right back. She led me to a quiet corner of the ballroom, away from the music and crowd. Once we stopped, she faced me with an expression I couldn't read. Honey, she said softly. The word struck me like a fist. Do you remember me? I stared at her. What kind of question is that? I mean us. Do you remember how we were? Looking at you now, it feels like you're someone else. Like the Callum I knew is gone. He is, I said. That Callum died in a studio above a laundromat. This one rebuilt himself from nothing. Tears filled Brianna's eyes. I made a mistake. Those 4 words stayed between us. Brianna, don't. Listen to me. I made a terrible mistake. I thought I wanted all this. She motioned around the gala, toward the money, influence, and status. But seeing you tonight, and what you've become, I realize I threw away the only real thing I ever had. I felt nothing. No anger, pleasure, or victory. Only the calm certainty that I stood exactly where I belonged. You didn't throw me away, Brianna. You left a version of me who never would have made you happy. And you were right to leave him. But look at you now. You're successful and confident. You're exactly the kind of man I'm the man I needed to become for myself. I cut in gently. Not for you or anyone else. For me. She reached out and touched my arm, her hand trembling. Callum, I still have feelings for you. I think I always will. I glanced at her hand, then met her eyes. You're engaged to Adrian. You're planning a Napa Valley wedding. You have the life you wanted. I thought I wanted it. But seeing you tonight made me realize I wanted you. The man you are now. The man I am now exists because you left, I said, quietly. You helped both of us. You found what you wanted, and I found who I needed to be. That wasn't a mistake. It was life. Brianna started crying, and mascara ran down her cheeks. So that's it? We act like we never meant anything to each other? We meant everything to each other once, but that time is gone. You need to let this go. How can you be so calm? Brianna asked. Don't you feel anything? I considered it. Anger, no. Sadness, no. Regret, not at all. I feel grateful, I finally said. You had the courage to end something that wasn't working. You forced me to rebuild, and because of that I discovered who I really am. Callum, go back to Adrian, Brianna. He's a good man, and he clearly loves you. Build your life with him and be happy. Don't look at our past and call it a mistake. You made the right decision for both of us. I left before she could answer, standing alone in that quiet corner of the ballroom. I never looked back. The next morning, Melanie entered my office wearing a strange expression. You won't believe this. Try me. Brianna Harlow called. She wants a meeting about consulting services for her and her fiancé. I laughed. Tell her we aren't accepting new clients. Are you sure? Completely. Some doors close for a reason, Melanie. It's better to leave them shut. That happened 6 months ago. I later heard Brianna and Adrian married as planned. They honeymooned in Bali and bought a suburban house that probably cost more than I'll earn in 5 years. Good for them. I honestly mean that. Meanwhile, Reeves Financial Consulting landed its largest client yet, a regional hospital chain needing a full financial restructuring. The contract will triple our revenue and require 5 new consultants. Last month, I bought a house with 3 bedrooms, a home office, and a yard for the dog I'm considering adopting. It isn't extravagant, but it belongs to me. I'm also seeing someone named Kelsey. She's a teacher who earns a decent living, nothing extraordinary. She doesn't care about status or prestige. She likes who I am, not what I can provide. Last week, Aaron and I were drinking beer at his place when he asked about Brianna. You ever think about her? Sometimes, I admitted. Not sadly. It's more like remembering a book I once read. It held my attention for a while, but I've moved on to better stories. That sounds healthy. It took me a long time to get here. Do you think she regrets leaving? I remembered her face at the gala, and the way she looked at me like something valuable she had lost. Probably, but regret is the cost of our choices. Eventually, everyone pays it. Do you regret anything about how it happened? I thought carefully. Did I regret my 8 years with Brianna, the divorce, the studio above the laundromat, or the year of brutal 80-hour work weeks? Not for 1 second, I said. Everything that happened shaped the man I am, and I became exactly who I was meant to be. Looking back, Brianna gave me the greatest gift of my life. She taught me that comfort isn't happiness and stability. Without growth is only stagnation. Sometimes you must lose everything before learning what you're made of. When she left the courthouse glowing over her new future, I felt destroyed. But that pain became the fuel I needed to transform. So thank you, Brianna. Thank you for leaving. Thank you for making me rebuild from nothing. Thank you for proving the man I had been wasn't the best man I could become. When we met again at the gala, and you asked whether I remembered you, I should have answered differently. Yes, I remember you. You're the woman who broke me so completely that I had no choice but to rebuild myself stronger. You became the reason behind the best decision I never chose to make. For that, I'll always be grateful. If this story connected with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Tell us in the comments about a time losing something helped you find yourself. Subscribe for more powerful stories about change, redemption, and becoming who you were meant to be. Sometimes having your old life destroyed is the best thing that can happen. It clears space for something better to grow. That's how karma delivered justice. Remember, massive success is the best revenge. Until next time, this is Betrayed, where justice always wins.